basically what we're hoping to achieve by using this camera that picks up in the evening easily, and when you shine a spotlight on some animals, it will certainly have an effect on their behavior on certain species. So this camera could make a big difference in giving us insights into the lives of the other strange animals that occur here and that come out after dark. We've seen some eyes reflecting there. Are we in luck? Oof. It's a little bit far away to see what it is, but let's just stop and listen. Could be them. It's so difficult to see. It's so thick, but I can just see. Ooh, no, that looks like an antelope. It dropped its head from where it was looking at us to quite a low angle, only capable of an antelope, because a leopard's neck is not nearly as long as that. So let's continue down into the dip here and see what we can find here. You can hear the stop sound calling every time we stop. And another call you can look out for, that's a really wonderful one to hear, and it's only started up very recently, is the fiery neck nightjar. And I'm sure when we stop next, you will get to hear that beautiful call. Let's see, I just saw a scrub here. I don't know if it's still in shot, but then again, I don't know, you've got the wrong lens on, hey Andrew? You've got the wide on.
Yeah.
Which is no good for the scrub here, hey?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll scrap the scrub here due to having the wide angle lens on.
I can change the lens.
Let's just drop down into the drainage here and then maybe change the lens then, and then you can play around a bit in here. That's alright?
Yes.
And then what we'll do is we'll just stop and see if we can't hear these leopards again. Andrew can play around and change lenses and see how they work with this new light that we have behind us. That's casting quite a dim light, but a well spread light, a very focused spread, or a very evenly spread light.
Let's try to go for the moon.
Okay, Andrew is going for the moon now, and I'm sure you'll also pick up quite a few stars around the moon. I was watching last night when they were doing a test, and it was remarkable how many stars this camera picked up. And astronomy certainly is a wonderful, wonderful topic to discuss, and this camera might open up that avenue for us on the night drives. I'm told you can, from Nikki when they were watching last night, that you can actually see the whole circumference of the moon, but as well as the part that's illuminated by the sun, which is what we're seeing now. And interestingly enough, that bright white light that we can see shining back on us is a reflection of a black surface, a black substance called ilmenite. It's a shiny black stone, and that covers the whole of the moon. And it's the reflection of those black shiny stones that create this white reflection that we see. Andrew's now turning off that backlight, which was the rustling you heard earlier. And now what you playing with?
Just playing with the ISO, pumping it.
Okay.
Quite high.
I'm told this camera has the incredible ability to go up to 400 and I think 69,000 ISO. Now on my camera, which is fairly modern, certainly not the best of its kind, can only go up to the ISO of 12,800, and that's quite good in this day and age. You do get some cameras that are better, but the one we're using tonight is 409,000 as opposed to my camera's 12,800, so remarkably high ISO, and the ISO basically lets in more light. It causes a more grainy picture, but at least it will allow us to be able to view animals at night without really having an impact on what they're doing. A lot of animals, as soon as the spotlight shines on them, understandably they get a little bit nervous and they scurry off. And if we can capture them with this camera with a very dim light cast in their direction, it could make a huge difference. And even last night, in one of the first tests with this new camera, Brent had a wonderful sighting. He says the best sighting he's ever had of a white-tailed mongoose. And hopefully we'll have lots more of those moments to share with you. You can hear the Scops owl calling. And why don't you time it? There's a 4-second delay between each call. So wait until the next one and then time it. One, two, three, four. There we go. There's quite a few of them calling, so that may throw you off a bit. And my earpiece has fallen off again. So, or unplugged itself rather. So I haven't been in comms with FC. Go ahead. Okay, well, I am so happy to hear that there are actually some people still watching, one of which is Lynn, all the way in Michigan. And Lynn is interested to know what exactly the setup is going to be. Will each vehicle have one of these cameras? And what exactly are the plans? Well, at this stage, Lynn, to be honest, we're just hoping that it works. And once we've established how well it works and the feasibility of it working well, we may then decide how many we're going to get and how exactly we're going to move forward in terms of what to do with the camera. Obviously, there are some slight complications because we would have to change the daytime cameras over to the nighttime cameras, so that's already a little hurdle that we would have to come across. But there are some very exciting plans with the Wild Earth and Safari Live operation, and you can expect to see a lot more gadgets and gizmos getting involved in the whole planning. So these little toys, just like the one we're trying tonight, may open up a lot more avenues. It's just about testing them now and to actually see whether they work, and then we'll try and make plans thereafter on how exactly we're going to implement them. But it is exciting stuff, Lynn, and I'm happy to hear that some of you are still watching. I'm just going to turn on the side lights now to see how that works. I'm told it worked very well last night with Brent, so we've got them going now.
I'm just going to put on the big lens.
Okay, and Andrew now is wanting to play around a little bit more and change lenses, understandably. He was very excited when we finally managed to get the one screw out of the base plate that gets attached onto the tripod. We had a small issue, that's what delayed us heading out this evening. And by the time we finally did get going, Andrew was ecstatic to get his turn to try the new piece of equipment out. The lens he's putting on now is a 70 to 200mm lens, it looks like, whereas the one before was a wide angle, possibly a 17 to 40mm, I'm not too sure. I'm told there were some issues focusing the wide angle. I'm not sure, Andrew, what was you did everything you could there, just couldn't focus on me.
No, they're saying with this big lens I can't get you in because it's too big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that won't work.
But maybe we can find an animal.
Okay, good idea. I'm surprised we haven't heard these leopards calling, everyone. So that's a bit of a pity. But I have been chatting away quite a lot, and with one earpiece in my right ear and my left ear not working as well as everyone else's around me, I fear we may have missed the call. But thankfully, earlier on when I was with Andrew, he was pointing out where he thought they were, and he certainly helped us in getting to them. Do you want to play around a little bit more here, Andrew, or should we go and look for some animales?
Let's go find a scrub here or two, I think.
Okay, very good. Well, you heard Andrew's command, so that is what we shall be doing next. It could be quite fun. I know it's a very bright light, but this is part of the testing operation, and I'm sure you're all enjoying seeing the glitches and faults as we go along. I'm lost, Andrew. Elephants have just been doing some serious exterior decorating here and have repositioned quite a few trees. No ways! Well, we've just had a comment through from Colleen, and she thinks she saw a bat flying past. It's certainly possible, Colleen. There are lots of little insect-eating bats that we get here, and also potentially fruit bats, but I haven't seen any fruit bats in the Sabi Sands myself. They do occur nearby though.
Sorry, I think I must put the other lens on until we find something.
Okay.
That way we can see you and...
Okay, good idea. Just grab it off my pelican piece quickly. Okay folks, so you heard the plan. We're going to switch back to the wide angle. Confirm on the wide angle or on the zoom lens?
If we stand still, I'll be able to. It's just because we're moving.
Okay, copy. He will be able to. So, just like I said, you're going to try the wide angle again. Andrew says that as long as we're stationary, he'll be able to get his focus on me, which is the problem that I'm told you were experiencing earlier. But he hasn't been given much time to play around with this camera, and we've been on the move as soon as it got working. You should see the look of concentration on Andrew's face. It is quite something.
Okay.
Okay. I think he's happy. Oh, there's some bats. The bats are back. So luckily he's got the wide angle lens on. They're all over us. So watch closely. Let me see if we can shine the lights high up into the sky.
Oh, yes, we're seeing them.
There they are. Look at them. They're everywhere. Sadly, I don't have a monitor, so I can't see what you're seeing, but oh, that one was close. I'm sure you got that one. They're coming in. I've counted about 5 at least different ones. And imagine how many little insects they're eating. I can actually see a few tiny insects flying around. And they're an incredibly important part of ecosystems that often actually go unnoticed because they do all their work under cover of darkness. And people often don't realize how many bats live around them or amongst them. And without them, our planet would be plagued with insects. They have incredibly high metabolisms and need to eat huge amounts of insects, which certainly keep things a little bit more comfortable for us, especially out here in the bush where we can get plagued with insects. We need all the help we can get to keep their numbers down. Is that enough bats, Andrew, or should we?
I think we all batted out.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. It's enough bats for now, because we're all excited to see the other capabilities of this camera. We know that you can get a few glimpses of bats now, but let's go see what else it's capable of doing. What I plan on doing is driving a little bit further down the Mawati, further to the east, to see if anything's popped out. So just let me put the side lights back down. I pointed them up into the sky earlier. There we go. Very good. As much fun as we are having, folks, we're probably going to have to head back to camp in about 5 minutes or so, because some of the crew need to head back to the Magnoletti, which is another reserve nearby. Well, change in plans. I forgot that Andrew actually offered to sleep on the couch this evening so that we can continue tonight's adventure. So everyone's in luck. The show will go on for more than the 5 minutes that I just said it would, but for how much longer than that I'm not too sure, but it certainly is exciting stuff. And I just feel sorry for all the viewers that don't know about this. I hope everyone's got the message. Confirm less shining of spotlight on dashboard. Okay, so I'm just getting a few updates there from FC, and we're going to have to try and fine-tune a few things. Andrew's going to try and move the little handle that you can see sticking out to the front left of the picture, bottom front, bottom left. And I've shining the spotlight on the hood of the vehicle, or the bonnet as we call it here in South Africa, as the sensitive camera is picking up too much bright light and blinding all of you, so apologies for that. Okay, cool, we found an animal, Andrew. It's off to our right. There's a duiker, so it's probably run off. But I'm guessing we might need to change lenses, it's probably a bit too far. Yeah, it's a bit too far, and it's disappeared into the bushes. So what we shall do, ideally I think we should head back up to quarantine, simply because it's nice and open and there'll be some game there to film.
Yeah, I think quarantine will be good.
Okay, cool. So rather than staying in this area with a slim chance of bumping into Tingana and Shadow again, we're actually going to head to an area that's more open and where there's often a lot of general game, antelope, impala, wildebeest, sleeping at night. It's the same open clearing actually where Ben saw the white-tailed mongoose last night, and it is a resident there, and because it has seen quite a lot of vehicles moving up and down between final control and the camp where we stay, and I guess all the guests coming and going from the two camps here on Djuma, that it's become fairly habituated through default because of the area that it lives in. So I think it's going to be a better bet for test driving the machinery here. I'm already looking forward to waking up tomorrow morning because, as we said earlier, leopards can mate for 3 to 5 days, just like lions. So they could still be at it tomorrow, and I'm sure both Chris and myself will drive down on either side of this Mawati riverbed and see if we can't find any of their tracks coming out. The great thing about following up on mating leopards is that you've got 2 sets of tracks, where there's usually only one with leopard because they're solitary. And the other bonus is that they keep making those noises as they growl and snarl at one another. Just seen some eyes up here. Can't quite work out what it is, and it's extremely thick. We might get a gap here. Andrew might also be able to see a bit better because he's higher than me. Anything in there? Interesting. Well, I'm guessing because it did dart off, it was in all likelihood an antelope. Leopards would be less inclined to rush off away from us. What also might actually be quite fun is seeing what's going on around the Djuma waterhole on our way up to the quarantine clearings. Interestingly enough, there's a heron that's become a nocturnal hunter and uses the light from the waterhole camera to do its fishing after hours. So we might find a grey heron there hunting, or possibly some other animals coming down for a drink. Unlikely that it would be any of the prey species at night time after dark, but possibly some different predators. Maybe Karula will pop in, some of the smaller nocturnal creatures. A honey badger would be another incredible animal that we will hopefully see more of the more time we spend out after dark. They aren't completely nocturnal, but the Sabi sands, they are, I think, most active after dark. Whereas in cooler areas of Africa, they may be seen moving more throughout the day. Areas like the Kalahari, and that's actually where I've had some of the best honey badger viewing in my life, in the Kalahari Trans-Frontier National Park, which opens up into South Africa, Botswana and Namibia. And it's an incredibly beautiful park. It's deserts and beautiful rolling sand dunes and a lot of strange animals like aardvark, honey badgers, African wildcats. I saw a crazy photo of a caracal, which is another animal that you get there, a beautiful cat with wispy black tufts on its ears. That had, and it's bigger than an African wildcat, considerably so, and it was obviously trying to kill this African wildcat when somebody was lucky enough to capture a photograph of this wildcat flinging itself out of this dead tree with a caracal perched below it. Oh, this is going to be fun. I've just seen a fish jump. I wonder how well that's going to work on this camera. The fish are swirling in the dam below us. And I don't know if Andrew's going to want to do a lens change here or...
Yeah. Let's check the stars and then we'll do a lens change.
Okay, Andrew wants to do a bit of stargazing quickly before he changes lenses. And like I said earlier, sadly I'm not seeing your picture, but getting a lot of feedback through from Nikki in Final Control. And happy to hear that so many of you are enjoying this little addition to the regular safari. actually a wonderful, wonderful evening now. It's calm, no wind, a nice cool temperature. It was a bit hot earlier when we headed out this afternoon. So I'm going to try and point out the Southern Cross to you and the 2 pointers. I know Brent did point them out to you last night, but not everyone would have been watching. And I sadly don't have my correct tool. I wasn't ready for this. But with the laser lights, we'll be able to do this job a lot better. But there's going to be a big wide beam pointing out to the Southern Cross, which you can see it's lying on its side with the length axis going this way and the cross axis going up that way. Now if you follow the cross axis, you'll get to 2 very bright stars just above them. Those are termed as the pointers, and they're called Alpha Centauri and Beta Centauri. And if you draw a line between the two, and then a perpendicular line running down to the left, where that perpendicular line bisects an extension of the length axis, which would be somewhere probably here, you get celestial self. And then if you drop the torch all the way down to the land, that will become true self. So that is how you work out south. It's not just the direction that the cross is pointing in, it does need to be coupled with the pointers and that perpendicular line where those 2 points bisect. You drop straight down and you get south. I can't see too much else going on, although Scorpio is above us. I don't know if the camera will be able to, yeah, maybe. It might just be able to catch the tail. That's the tail.
Yeah, we can get the tail.
Okay. Now, with a lot of the star signs, they don't really look like the pictures you see in the magazines. You have to be a little bit creative. But basically, I'm going to try and run the torch the whole way from the tip of its tail all the way up its body.
Oh, we can't get the top.
You can't get the top.
No, just the bottom.
And there?
Yeah, that's...
Okay, good idea. Nikki's just told me to reverse onto a very well situated slope behind us, and that is going to make a very big difference. Well done, Nikki. Because the way that the camera is mounted onto a tripod on the back of the vehicle, there's only so much give that it can go back, and that's why sometimes when birds are flying above us, we can't continue to show you them. Oh, this is going to work like a charm. Okay. So, Andrew, how are things looking up there? We need that whole thing.
Oh no.
Too much.
Too much to ask for.
Okay. What can you get?
Pretty much.
Are we still at not a steep enough angle?
Yeah, angle's not steep enough, it would seem.
Tank below me, or behind me rather, with 5 massive batteries on that we have to charge up every day and after every drive. And there was a little crocodile clip clamped onto one of those batteries, giving power to one of the many devices required to get this broadcast to you, especially with this new camera. There's a whole bunch of new wires that I'm seeing, and that's why we went black screen. And what we're doing now is just changing lenses. Andrew has been told he is no longer allowed to stargaze, and he needs to film the fish jumping out of the water. Wait a second. And he should be plugged in shortly. And with this long lens, it's a very, very different lens to the one he had on earlier. The one he had on earlier was a 16 to 35 millimeter lens, whereas this one is a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. So a lot more zoom. It's actually the same lens that I have on my camera, just not the generic version thereof. And it's a great lens, and it's going to get you fairly close to this waterhole. You probably won't be able to see the fish's scales as they jump out the water, but you will maybe be able to make out the fish. And what I'm going to do, and what's actually a good trick to remember when on safari, is to use your binoculars. They let in an incredible amount of light, and in scenarios where you may want to use dim light, and I'm told you can see the ripples perfectly. And isn't this pond alive? The poor fish in here have their work cut out for them. It'll be a combination of at least 2 different species of fish you can see swirling about here. Some are called tilapia, and the others are called barbel, which are kind of catfish. The barbel may stand a chance of surviving, provided they don't get plucked out of these muddy waters, because they have the incredible ability to be able to encase themselves in the mud and a thick layer of mucus, and then breathe in oxygen while they wait for the next rains to come and fill up their pond. The tilapia, however, are not so fortunate. I'm sure you'd like to be a little bit closer there, Andrew. How's the zoom?
Closer the better. We don't have them.
Sadly, the heron is not here tonight, and I suppose it's got spoiled for choice and has got many drying ponds that it can go and feed in. I saw a fish eagle flying overhead this morning, and it's really interesting. For a few months now, I've noticed a fish eagle flying on the same flight path every morning at almost the same time, often with the fish in its talons, taking it obviously back to a nest. And I think the nest is south of our property, somewhere past Twin Dams, because it flies straight past there, often over the quarantine clearings. And this morning when I was on tracking team, on foot looking for the new hyena den sites, I saw one flying over with some very heavy cargo. Okay, I've been instructed to get you guys a little bit closer to the water, which I can happily do.
Should we get the light? Yeah, on that side.
Cool. Yeah. So, it won't take us long. We just need to look through this little drainage line, which is an overflow where the dam wall actually broke, I think. It was the spillway used to be on the northern side of the dam, whereas now it's on the southern side of the dam. And that was after some very, very heavy rains. Come again, please. Oh, well, very happy to hear that some of you are not only watching the show from this camera that Andrew's using, but you're also watching from the Djuma waterhole camera. And I think we don't actually mention it enough, but for those of you who don't know, I certainly must tell you that there is a 24-hour-a-day live camera that we'll stop and show you once we get into the right spot. And it provides us with some incredible sightings and information of what goes on at this waterhole after dark. It's controlled by people who we term zoomies, and there are zoomies all around the world who actually control this camera. remotely from wherever they are. Just going to stop here and Andrew can show you the camera, which is just up to our right. Hello everybody who is watching on the camera. Well, I must apologize to Gregory, who has just told us he's been busy washing the dishes and he didn't know that this was happening and that it is still live. Apologies, Gregory. We were planning on doing it and then we thought against it because we were having problems getting the equipment working, and at the last minute we managed to get it up and running, so we came out without much warning. So apologies, Gregory, but you are right, this is live, and I guess at least you've got washing the dishes out the way, and now you can enjoy the rest of the safari with us. So, Andrew, are you happy with your filming of the cam? Did everyone get to see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's get some fish.
So, you all got to see the waterhole cam, and there's not only one here on Djuma, but also at Arathusa. So, two fun additions to, I think I can see the catfish breathing. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be absolutely awesome. We're going to be able to see the catfish. I think I said drinking. By drinking I meant breathing. Oh no ways, this is going to be awesome. Andrew, have fun. There are absolutely, maybe not hundreds of them, but there are so many. Look at that. I wish I was seeing the picture you're seeing, but what I'm going to do to try and simulate it is look through my binoculars. Like I said earlier, they really do let in a lot of light. And you'll notice the catfish have got very long whiskers sticking out. So those are the catfish that we're seeing. Tilapia won't be able to do this. Tilapia, like most regular fish, breathe through oxygen being processed on their gills. So water running over their gills and their gills then somehow filtering and capturing the oxygen as it flows over their gills. Catfish are different. They've got actual lungs and they are breathing in the air. There's obviously not much oxygen in this muddy water, and that's why they're all coming up to charge up with oxygen. They sometimes also do it during the day. I guess they might realize, oh, a bat just flew past, but I'm not sure if with this zoom lens it would be a miracle if it flew through the shot, but still possible. Oh no ways, Andrew, on the left, on the left, on the left, yeah. I just saw a whole catfish. It was probably 3 feet long. Look, there. Did you get it, Andrew? Coming into the shallows. Well done, Andrew did get it, I'm told. Let's just keep the light shining here, because I did see one do a similar maneuver earlier. It obviously gets fairly shallow there, but at least 3 foot long, possibly longer. They get quite big, these catfish. They seem to calm down a little bit. On the far bank, Andrew. Oh, no, it stopped. Okay, now that there's only one scops owl that I can hear calling, we might be able to try doing the 4-second count between the calls. They stick to a very set rhythm. So on the next one I'll count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. I mean, my counting may have not been perfect timing, but close enough to just about 4 seconds they repeat that call. And you might be getting some glimpses of these catfishes, longbacks. They're long, flat fish that often feed on the bottom of lakes and dams and rivers close to us here, Andrew. You got this one here. Oh, I'm not sure how much light I should shine on it. As I was saying though, they're bottom feeders and feed on just about anything that they can fit in their mouths. A lot of fishermen throughout Africa actually use soap to catch these fish. Literally a bar of soap on a hook into the water, catfish comes out. Hard to believe, but they eat soap and mainly meat ideally. Are carnivorous. Baby weavers that fall out of their nest will certainly be consumed by the catfish. And they are predatory fish, and in clear water they can even take fast moving lures if you are fishing for them. And I'm sure you're picking up the audio of the crickets and also the owls, as well as these fish. A very, very calm and beautiful evening. And like I said a little bit earlier, the temperature is absolutely perfect. So I did say a little bit earlier that there's two types of fish, at least in this waterhole. I know that there's tilapia in here because we saw a saddle-billed stork pluck one out of here not too long ago before a fish eagle prevented it from finishing its hard-won meal, and it chased the bird, and the bird dropped the saddle-billed stork dropped the tilapia back into the water. It was an incredible sighting. Donna would like to know if there are the tilapia that are also actually breathing here, or is it just the catfish? And Donna, it is just the catfish that we can see breathing. I guess because the water is so low, we may be seeing the odd tail, potentially, of a tilapia, but I'm convinced that they are hiding out in the deeper little puddles, and the catfish are more prone to this kind of behavior that we're seeing now. It's not uncommon for leopard, especially young and hungry leopards, to try and pluck barbel out of these. To try and pluck one of these catfish out the water. I've never actually seen that, but I have seen other footage and pictures of leopards doing that. So imagine if we get to see one of our local leopards plucking one of these catfish out of it. It'll be incredible. And I'm just told that I've answered Shirley's question all the way in Canada. Shirley just asked if lion or leopard will ever eat fish. I haven't heard of lion doing it or seen footage thereof, but that's not to say that they will not do it. So it certainly is possible. But I think leopards would be more inclined to do it. Well, I know they are for a fact. I've seen lions, interestingly enough, and leopards attacking and eating crocodiles, but it's not quite a fish. But most predators, Shirley, will feed on just about anything that they can overpower.
Oh, battery finished.
No. Surprisingly harder than one would have expected it to be. And we are now going to continue on and see if we can film anything else that we don't get to see very often. I hope you all enjoyed the catfish. But we're going to head up now to the quarantine clearings where we were initially heading towards, and we're hoping to find some general game up there. Who knows, maybe the same white-tailed mongoose as last night. So let's turn those lights on for a little while. Alright, so we're just going to leave the zoom lens on rather than changing to wide angle. Are we live or am I talking to myself? Oh no, my earpiece is off. That's maybe why I think I am not live, because I can't hear Nikki chatting to me. Hello? Okay, welcome back. You are all there, good to know. So like I say, we're not going to change back to the wide angle because we're feeling confident that it's not going to take us long to find another animal to film. Again, I am going to use this big spotlight. I know it's very bright, but that's we're in luck. We're in luck. Get ready, guys. Right, Andrew. I want to use the torch. Right here, a little something. There it is.
Negative.
Right here. Got it? It's probably the same white-tailed mongoose that Brent saw last night, and it's completely relaxed with us.
Just wait a sec.
Oh, wait a sec, I'm just going to turn this. Won't it be awesome to see what it's foraging for? Maybe we'll see it make a kill. I'm just lifting up the light. I'm just using the side light, but I'm trying to tilt it, not use too much light, make it too bright. How's that looking, Andrew?
That's good.
What an awesome animal, it's so close to us. Hello. Look at how tiny its ears are. I can actually hear it sniffing from here. It's got a very powerful nose, and it'll actually smell small rodents and insects under the ground and then dig them up. And won't it be awesome if we get to see it do that? It's certainly possible. Swiveled around there quite intently. Maybe it's getting excited. Maybe it can smell something close by. Look at that big white bushy tail. Oh, I'm convinced it's going to start digging. He got something. No ways, he caught a scorpion. I can't see it, but you can. And you can hear him crunching through it. No ways. Andrew. Scorpion kill.
Awesome.
Listen to him crunching through that scorpion. I wish I knew what type of scorpion it was. I'm guessing it was and a Pistothalmus glabifrons. They don't have regular names, scorpions, common names, but it's a scorpion that we will start to see at this time of the year coming out and moving around. It's not highly venomous, it's got quite big pincers, so if you noticed big pincers on that scorpion, I'm not sure how well you got to see it, but if you did see big pincers or noticeable pincers like a little crab, then that would be an indication that the scorpion was not highly venomous and an easy meal for this mongoose. Can you believe it? It was actually incredible to see because he could smell it, he couldn't see it. And he started darting around excitedly before we saw him make the final kill. He's moving a little bit far away now, I'm guessing, for this lens, so we might think about repositioning again. I wonder if we'll be able to get as close as he came to us earlier. I think it was just complete luck that we were on the road at the right time, because if we do start off-roading after it, I fear the noise from all the little branches that we're driving over may startle it. Can you still see it, Andrew, there? Not well, but it is lingering in the shadows there. It's quite nice just also for us to not shine the lights on it all the time and just see how well the camera picks it up in different kinds of light. The flashes you're getting from the screen are little insects that are flying into the light.
No, it's coming when I change the f-stop.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So as you change the f-stop it makes little bright lights. Oh.
Just confirm that with FC, I think so. Maybe it is the bugs.
It's either the bugs or Andrew altering the f-stop. I know as the bugs do fly past light, they do illuminate very brightly, and that could have been it, but it also could possibly be Andrew tweaking some of the settings. Should we leave the mongoose onto its business and see what else we can find?
Yes.
Okay, well, it doesn't get much better than that. A white-tailed mongoose catching a scorpion. It's something that I've never seen, and certainly didn't think I'd be seeing this evening. So well done to all of those of you who are sticking around on the trial, and it is good to have you with us. Oh great! I didn't let you know much about the white-tailed mongoose, but thankfully Paul has sent through a question. Evening, Paul. And he's asked whether they travel alone or in colonies like the dwarf mongoose or the banded mongoose, and they are actually solitary, so the only time you see them with other mongoose is when they are raising their young, or possibly mating. On our way to visit some of the guides at Arathusa after work one night, and we got to see a brief glimpse of some white-tailed mongoose romancing. Good news is I've seen a lot of eyes up ahead. I'm guessing it's a herd of impala, and let's test out how well it works with these impala now. So we're getting progressively bigger with the things we're filming this evening. And wouldn't it be wonderful to film some elephant close up with a wide angle? Just going to stop here. There's one impala lying in the road. Another one just walking off behind it. There's quite a few all around us, but I'll just let Andrew play around from here for a while before we go any closer. I've just got a question through. I think it was from Paul in Canada, but Jeffrey in Texas. Well, there you go. I was way off. Sorry, Jeffrey. Jeffrey's asked if there's any chance of seeing a hippo. There certainly is, Jeffrey, although I haven't seen hippo tracks in this area that we're in right now, but they do travel quite large distances, and we see a lot of tracks on various parts of Djuma every morning, but it's a little bit far away from here where that goes on. To the north, up around Sydney's Dam, there's a few hippos that come south from there onto our property most evenings, and sometimes the Manuletti team managed to bump into them on the way back. What we're going to try and do though is get a bit closer to these impala. And Jeffrey, as you know, the chances of anything happening out here are good. We often get pleasantly surprised, and who knows, maybe a hippo will waltz onto the scene. I'm a little bit closer now. I don't know if I should try to turn off all these lights and see how that works, Andrew, with just that dim lights at the back. We can hear a spotted thickney calling behind us. Sweet! There it goes again. How's this working out, Andrew?
It's quite gainy, but I mean, with my naked eye, I cannot see these animals. We can just barely make them out. But on the screen, yeah, I can see them quite nicely.
Okay, good. Now I can only see the two closest to us. The rest beyond that, not so much. The one lying down and the one up to the left doing something with its, scratching its ear, it looks like.
Yeah, scratching his nose.
Its nose. Okay. A smooth, well-worn hoof is probably not the best tool to try and scratch oneself with. So, not an easy job for the impala. And while we sit here and wait for the hippo to come and surprise us on the scene, Laura would like to know what other animals we can see. And Laura's all the way in Alabama, and isn't it wonderful how people all around the world can join in on the safari together with us? It's such an awesome concept, and good to know you're watching, Laura. Other interesting animals that we would not typically see during the day would be, some I have mentioned, but I'll go through them again. One like we've just seen, the white-tailed mongoose, that's strictly nocturnal. Honey badgers, they're not strictly nocturnal, but more active at night in this specific area. Then the aardvark, which is also known as an ant bear. It's got a long, slender snout and a pig-like body. Very strange looking animal. They also are almost strictly nocturnal in the Sabi Sands, but in other parts of Africa they do come out during the day. A pangolin would be another great animal to see. Again, not strictly nocturnal, you can see them during the day, but more likely at night. Bush babies, a small primate, an incredibly cute animal. That would be really good fun to film and get an insight into their lives. So that's another one we could expect to see. The owls, of course. There's various different owls of all different shapes and sizes that occur out here, from the tiny little pearl-spotted owlets all the way to the Verreaux's eagle owl. They'll be busy after dark. What am I forgetting? I'm sure there's a whole host of other animals that I am forgetting. The serval, I guess, is another animal that we don't get to see very often, that would probably be more active at night. The genets, the large spotted genet, would be another one. So there are quite a few animals that I can just think of off the top of my head that we could expect to see, but like I say, I am probably forgetting quite a few more. You can probably pick up the fiery neck nightshark calling now in the distance. There it brings off. It's such an awesome call, and it made me so happy. On our first afternoon back just a few days ago, we headed out on drive and heard them calling. It's such a wonderful call. Well, I do have bad news, everyone. The show has come to a close now. My stomach is happy, I'm starving, and it has been so much fun though. And Debs, thanks very much for sending through your kind message. It's been an absolute pleasure having you and all the other viewers join in on this fun little test drive adventure. What I can maybe do is jump out, and then Andrew will be able to focus on me as I walk back to camp for dinner. Only kidding, I wouldn't do that. But it's been so much fun having you with us, and thanks for joining in and being a part of the test drive. As you can see, there's a lot of different things that we have to think about out here to try and fine-tune this camera. And isn't it going to be good when we do, because we've already seen that it allows us to capture some incredible stuff that we haven't been able to capture before. Anyway, a big thanks to Andrew for offering himself a night on the couch here instead of going back to the Sabi Sands, and also to Nikki and Tara, who have been back in the final control room. We will see you all on the sunrise safari tomorrow.